Hello, FS 101 class. This week we're going to be talking about self-concept and personal responsibility. In our OER textbook, Chapter 1 covers these concepts. The chapter starts with an introduction to the idea that our career development is a journey lasting most of our lives. The career exploration process is also explained, and this process forms the structure of our class and this OER textbook. Self-concept is a combination of many factors, including self-efficacy and self-esteem. Sometimes people get these items confused. Self-efficacy is my belief in my abilities, and self-esteem is how I feel about myself. You will actually see self-efficacy as more important in our class as we explore potential careers. We need to believe we have the abilities or can learn the abilities to perform the careers we're considering. One of the ways we can increase our self-efficacy and enlarge our comfort zone is to use resources available at HACC. Since this class is a first-year seminar, we will go more in-depth about HACC resources later this semester, but Chapter 1 has a link to student resources on our website, hacc.edu, and I encourage you to use this link and look at those resources early in our semester. I'm sure you will find some useful for you as you continue through the semester, and you could also become a resource for your fellow students by making yourself aware of these resources that are available. One aspect of our self-concept is our mindset, and in this class we use research conducted by Dr. Carol Dweck out of Stanford University about fixed and growth mindset. If a person has a fixed mindset, they believe their intelligence and abilities are fixed or static and cannot be changed. Whereas if a person has a growth mindset, they believe intelligence, abilities, and skills can be grown and improved with effort. This graphic in our chapter explains some of the differences between the two, and it's important to note we are not exclusively one or the other. This is a continuum from fixed to growth, and what we must do is attempt to move more into the growth mindset in our lives. Specifically for the purposes of this class, when we are considering and exploring careers, we need to be in a growth mindset where we embrace challenges, we persist when we have obstacles, we know that effort is required to master skills, we learn from our setbacks and criticisms, and we get inspired by those who are successful in careers we're considering. These elements don't come easy, and they do take practice. So in this course, I would like you to attempt to move more into a growth mindset. One thing I never want to hear is, I'm interested in such and such career, but I don't think I could do it. That's a fixed mindset, and I'd like you to move more into the growth mindset where you might say something like, I'm interested in such and such career, and although there are a lot of classes and training and effort to get into that career, I believe I can do it. Related to the concept of mindset is the concept of locus of control and accepting personal responsibility. If we have an internal locus of control, we believe that we are in control of or are the cause of our successes based on our own efforts and abilities. People with an external locus of control believe that outside forces determine their success, and their own effort and ability don't mean much. Just like fixed and growth mindset, the idea of internal and external locus of control is a continuum, and we need to try to move toward the internal locus of control because our motivation is affected by our locus of control as well. Internal or intrinsic motivation is much stronger than external or extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation might be something like a sense of accomplishment when we achieve a goal, and that's something no one can take from us. External or extrinsic motivation might be something like a paycheck or a certification. It's a positive motivator, but it could be taken away, and it's not as powerful as intrinsic motivation. Another concept related to our mindset is grit, and Dr. Angela Duckworth, originally out of the University of Pennsylvania, developed a lot of research about this concept. Our OER includes a TED Talk where Dr. Duckworth explains grit. Basically, grit means that we will keep attempting to move forward even in the face of challenges. There is a caveat with this concept of grit, however, because if a person is in an unhealthy environment surrounded only by negativity and doesn't see any positive influences, grit can be hard to acquire. So we do need to see evidence that positive action can move us forward. And if someone can see that and work on their actions, they have grit. One of the ways we can increase our grit and our self-efficacy and move ourselves into a growth mindset is to use affirmations. You may have heard of affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements, usually starting with the words I am, and then continue with a phrase that would help us achieve the behavior we're trying to develop. So, in the context of our career development class, you may have an example of I am a skillful writer, even if you are working on your writing skills. The idea of an affirmation is to convince ourselves that we can move forward and develop those skills and strengths in a field we're considering. The last main segment of Chapter 1 asks you to think about developing your personal and career vision statement. We will return to this element at the end of the course, so I ask you to look at the examples and steps listed in the chapter to begin creating your career and life planning vision statement. Finally, every chapter in this OER includes references and resources. We used these references and resources to write this OER, but we've included additional ones, and we encourage you to follow up or investigate further if any of the resources sound useful to you.